All right, welcome everyone, and doing a new video after a bit of a pause. Like XAF Blazor is going like by the day improving, and this is one of the things that now we can do in a unified way with Property Editor and Blazor Web View. So, Jorge, tell us about it.
Okay, Javier. So, for a while now, there is a way to share code between Blazor applications and Windows Forms application. Basically, Blazor is everywhere. You can use it in Maui, you can use it in Windows Forms, and you can use it in WPF, and you can use it obviously in Blazor, right? So the idea here behind this prototype and this article was, okay, sometimes, you found a really nice control for web, but then you want to have the other part for Windows. So the idea here was to do a unified property editor like technique in general, because in this design, the most important thing was that we wanted to share as much code as possible. So the component that is rendered by the editor is the same in both platforms, Windows Forms and Blazor. And the same object will work also for Entity Framework and XPO. That's why we call this the unified property editor approach, because you do it one time and it works for Entity Framework, XPO, and Win and Blazor. So here is the original article. Here is a small demo of this and all the steps to create the editor. But let's see some code and let's see this running. So first, let me show you a little bit of the structure. So the idea was to have a single class library to host the editor. So here we have this class library, which basically is a class that hosts the Monaco editor, the one for Visual Studio Code. So you can host this inside of Windows and inside of Blazor at the moment. And also, you can include them into XAF applications in general. So if you can see, the component is a normal Blazor component. There is no magic on the component side. The only special part here is that in this library, you have to have reference to the Express app Blazor, because we need to use the component model base to make something like a unified model for both approaches, right? For Windows approach and for web approach. So we have the component, we have the model for the component, and after that is just a few modifications. For the Windows application, you have to change the project type from Microsoft Net SDK to Net SDK Razor. This is really important. Without this, it will not work. And besides that, you don't need any extra strange parts. The only thing that is really important is to add this web view. That is the web view that hosts the Blazor components. So beside that, there is like kind of really simple steps. You create the editor as any property editor that you create for XAF, for Blazor, or for Windows, so that you can use a tutorial for that. And the only caveat I will say is that you need to, for the Windows application, the Razor extensions, they don't work. So you will have to do a few manual steps. For example, having a www root, having an index. And in this index, as you can see, I'm manually referring to the content on other assemblies, which are the JavaScript and the style sheet. This in Blazor, you can do it in a different way. in Blazor, you can just go to the startup and create an extension, and you can do something like add Monaco editor component. And this, what it will do is it will modify your host page, and it will add the script, the reference script, this part. In the Windows version, you have to do it manually because the extensions, they just don't work. And beside that is basically um, you can achieve this approach by basically mixing the Microsoft tutorial for hosting Blazor components in Windows, and by doing also the developer express tutorial for property editors. If you put them together, basically you will end up with something like this. And just to show you how it works, I will run both actually. I will run right now the Blazor version, and I will start the debugging with the Windows version. And let's see how this goes. Let's see if there is no demo effect. So here we have the Blazor version. Part of the idea behind this is that we kind of represent a type. So the type that we're representing at this moment is Monaco editor data. We created a non-persistent object, and this kind of has the logic of how to communicate with the main object. So here we have this domain object one, and as you can see, we have a property which is type of Monaco editor data. This is a non-persistent property, so we just use it for render the component, and then we copy the value of this property to a text property. So you have to basically implement the XAF entity object interface, because you will need the uncreated and unsaving event. The uncreated to pass the new instance of the non-persistent object to the property, and the unsaving for getting the whatever value that is in the editor back to the persistent property where we want to save it. So here, let's go here and see we have domain object one. You see that you have the two properties in this object, the real text and this, which is the OID of the property, the non-persistent property that is hosting the editor. So if I create a new object here, see, this is the Monaco editor, the one for Visual Studio Code, and I can say like hello. And you can also have meta, like markdown style, like hello. And see, there is the autocomplete and IntelliSense, and everything works in here. And whatever I do in this editor, you see it in the text property here. See, so basically it's mirroring whatever we have in the editor to the text property here, so we can save it. And if we go to the list, here we have what we wrote. And in the Windows side, if I refresh, I will have that object too. Let's refresh this. And well, let's close this completely. I don't see the one that I just created. Well, I will create another one. I think they're connected to different databases at the moment. So here I can do the same. And the same, we have IntelliSense, autocomplete, and all the things. And here we have the text that we are writing to the component. So as you can see, the beautiful part of this is that you have one single component, one single behavior, and you only have to worry about that exactly. And also your application in Windows will have the same controls as your application in Blazor. So we've been researching this approach for a while, and this is for us the right way to have a single property editor, or at least a single component for the property editors, and have a single non-persistent object that represents that property. So in that way, you can use the same code for Windows, Blazor, and the framework, and XPO. So for us, that unified all the platforms and all the ORMs. So one single approach, multiple deployment ways. So that's basically it, Javier. Is kind of straightforward. At the beginning, it was a little bit mysterious, but once you master this and you kind of make the formula, you can create thousands of propertiators, unified propertiators in a few minutes, basically.
Now, what I like about this object is that definitely you can package and do because all the property editors code for the Windows and the Blazor part will be kind of the same. The only thing that we will be changing are the components on the class library. So imagine that you have a really nice, beautiful chart that you want to present in Blazor and in Windows. You just use this approach, same component, same Razor class library. You can even put it in a nugget. So you can get like a good reusability of your effort. So I'm really excited of what we're able to do with this. Of course, I know that we're always doing experiment with the highlighting of the code because we try to do scripting and doing things at runtime and changing the behavior of our app and building flow. But I think that for other things, for charts, for pivots, for any other components that you have on the Blazor side that you also want to bring to Windows, have it in a unified way, it's just a beauty.
Yeah, exactly. So in this way, it's like you reduce, in general, the maintenance cost of the code because you only create a single component with a single data model, and then everything else is just like plumbing code. This is like no brainer in general, and you will have a unified application. Whatever beautiful thing that you can do in web, you can include it also in Windows Forms
Exactly.
now.
That was my other point. You're going to really modernize your WinForms apps.
Exactly.
All right, guys. That's it for the video. We have a couple more on the pipeline. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.